Dear listener, ClockTower is intended for mature audiences and might be inappropriate or possibly triggering to some. Many of the themes and events in ClockTower are inspired by weird fiction as well as similar concepts, which means the show can get dark.
If that isn't something you enjoy, please listen at your own discretion. We here at the ClockTower care about you, so please put your mental health first. Our show will be here when you're ready.
Welcome to another episode of ClockTower, a D&D 5e experience. For those familiar with 5th edition, keep in mind that all of our players are playing a custom class called the ClockTower Agent. We play with a lot of house rules in our games that we as a group collectively enjoy. So if you're just joining us, we explain these rules when they come up, so you might need to listen to previous episodes just to clear up any confusion. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and welcome to the ClockTower. Expecting the journey to be hard, all of you set out with a determination, looking at the forest like it was an enemy to be battled or tackled. You expected dark shadows lurking around every turn and grave monsters ready to slay you as you ventured deeper into the forest. However, you didn't find any of these monsters. In fact, as you ventured deeper and deeper into the forest, you were met with wonderful sights. You saw enormous trees with vines creating intricate and beautiful patterns as they grew up the length of the trees. You saw creatures of all color and make, dancing from branch to branch or hiding in the underbrush. And the majority of these beings did not seem hostile. And yet still, all of you have been on guard as you make your way through the jungle of opportunity. Eventually, following the map that you've been given, you stay away from other landmarks, like a large stone statue that's said to curse anyone who looks at it too long without thinking of a loved one, or a deep well that if you stare into it too long will steal every memory you hold. Making your way, avoiding the pitfalls along the jungle, you come up to the Bridge of the Serpent. However, when you make it here, you see, like the wall outside of the city, a wall formed of closely grown together trees and vines that are all but impassable, with a single entrance leading towards a massive chasm that stretches for as far as you can see to your left and as far as you can see to your right beyond the trees. Where there should be a bridge, there appears to be none. Just a large space between the tree walls with no door, no anything blocking your entrance, except for the fact that you would step off into a large chasm. And a thick blanket of fog covers the chasm, making it unable to see what's deep down below.
What's the plan?
Don't really know. I mean, that's a hole.
Yeah, it's a hole.
Anyone want to, chuck something in there, see how far it goes, look for a sound? I don't know. I'm kind of intimidated by how deep that hole goes.
Seeing as there's apparently a giant snake around, not really. No.
Yeah, point made.
Reagan, do you have the map currently?
Yes.
As you unfurl the map, looking at what might be to try and circle around this chasm, the map doesn't have a lot of detail. It just says, small notes, very dangerous, off to the left and right, and other such warnings of going off of the trail.
That's not helpful.
It depends on how you look at it. It would be very helpful if you intended to go on an unbeaten path.
I mean, I guess I could jump in.
What?
No, I'd rather not. Sam kind of catches up with the group, fanning his head with his hat because of the stifling heat.
And Sam, as you fan yourself with your hat, you all hear a loud rumbling.
Yeah.
And in front of you, just peeking above the curtain of fog, you see a very large, almost prismatic scaled curve of what you assume to be a massive serpent crest slightly above the fog and go back beneath it.
Nope. No, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, like, that was not great, but why did you guys look at me like I was crazy? We can literally do this again. I could just jump down, see what it is, die horribly. Not a fan of that, but at least I would see what it is.
You do realize we feel everything that happens when we die, right?
Oh, that's why I'm saying I'm not a fan of it, but it's an idea.
Also, that mean we'd all have to die. Or at least wait out the time here until we get your information. I feel like that ain't really the best course of action.
I was just saying it was an idea. Didn't say it was the best idea. Just saying it was an idea.
It's kind of a bad idea.
Oh, I appreciate the constructive criticism.
Sam, what did the man say about the snake?
Oh, well, he said it told riddles? I think it's kind of hard. It's all been a blur, and I'd rather not think about that place. He said he told riddles, and if you got them wrong, he would take things from you. That's what happened to his wife, although he didn't remember it at all.
Right?
So I guess we can, call down to the serpent? I can make a fake bridge across the chasm. I can't really make a real one.
Alright, I say we get the snake's attention.
Hopefully non-threateningly.
Well,
So the snake's apparently just gonna try to talk to us before anything bad happens, right?
we'll see.
All right, I'm gonna give this a shot. Rock's gonna lean back. Hey, snake!
And you hear another rumbling, much louder than before and much closer than before, as rising in front of you, out of the fog, you see the giant skeletal head of a serpent that looks like it's made out of shining prismatic glass.
Wait, that worked?
Its eyes look like they're made of deep and beautiful glowing light. And as it opens its mouth, you all hear in the back of your head, as if in the voice of your own thoughts, "What an endearing name you've given me. Hey, snake, I do not hate this." And you see the massive head that has to be 10 feet wide sway in front of all of you, as if to turn to the left and turn to the right to get a good look at everyone here.
I mean, you look like a snake. Don't think that was out of place.
And you look like a human. Looks can be deceiving.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. Yeah, that hurt.
Yes, so we know that this thing can talk to us, and you call it by its description instead of asking it the question.
Rock's just gonna look at you and kind of gently thumbs up.
Jaeger just sort of looks at Rock and nods, but it's very much an obviously very put upon nod. Well, he's here, and we need to cross. What do we do?
That I can answer for you. In order to cross the chasm of the unknown, you must answer my questions.
Question. If we had a way to get across, would you attack us?
Why would I attack you?
I don't know. I heard you do something to people who fail your question.
Are you a threat to me?
I don't think so.
Then why would I attack you?
Fair.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Is it him? I don't want to be rude.
I tried them, just in case.
Them.
I am beyond the concept of gender, but
Dope.
you may call me what you wish.
All right. Do you have a name?
I have many. Which one would you prefer?
The one that's easiest for you.
There are those who call me the Keeper of Knowledge.
Can I call you Keeps?
You may call me what you wish.
All right. Cool. Look, the Keeper of
Rock.
Knowledge is a mouthful. I'm sorry.
I don't mean to be rude, and I'm sorry, Miss Keeper of Knowledge, but why are you antagonizing the giant snake god?
I'm not
I
antagonizing
am
them.
no god, nor do I serve a god.
That's comforting to know, I guess.
It wasn't antagonization. I just wanted to know. I'm trying to be polite here.
I consider myself to be like a well. I do not know how deep my knowledge goes, but I only seek to fill it up more.
That's kind of sad in a way. I'm sorry that you can't find peace.
I consider wells to be quite peaceful,
I guess it's a matter of perspective.
as are many things, as are all of you.
Well,
Go ahead then, Reagan. I mean, you're kind of the leader on
And it
this.
gets close to you, within a hand, like you could reach out and touch it, and it gets very close to you, and it says, "Yes, Reagan, are you ready to answer my questions?"
What happens if I answer them incorrectly?
My questions are not for me, but for you. If you do not believe in your own answers, how can you believe anything I tell you?
Ask away.
Why are you here?
I'm not sure.
Can you elaborate? I imagine you look to the faces of everybody else.
Sam, like, gives a, like, I'm sorry, shrug. Like, I don't know.
Rock just kind of gives a gentle thumbs up. Like a little bit more anxiously this time.
Great. Awesome.
Jaeger taps his wrist like we have a certain amount of time.
I know we've been sent here to do a job, but I'm not quite sure what that entails.
And you, as the giant head sways to the side, centering on Jaeger, as it says, "What do you want?"
I want to finish my job. The job I was sent here to do in the first place. I want to finish it, go, and complete the next. Continuously. As long as I have to.
It seems to nod its massive head slightly before swaying again to look at Rock, as it says, "Who are you?
I'm Rock.
Can you elaborate?"
Rock kind of like looks to the corner, like both the corners of his eyes, and goes, I don't really know much beyond that. I know I like fun, and I don't like being hurt emotionally, but it's kind of where the line stops. I don't really know much beyond that.
And the head whips around with a sudden fierceness that it surprises almost all of you, and it quickly settles on Sam.
Sam kind of stumbles back, like, oh.
Where did you come from?
I believe I came from a long series of trials and tribulations where I met many people and tried to do many things, all to reach a singular goal that I don't know when I got there to do.
Do you all believe these answers are true?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
And it says, "Very well. Let us see if you can cross." And its head dives back into the fog, and the rest of its massive serpent-like body emerges from the fog and creates a bridge across the chasm for all of you to walk on. However, as you look at it, you can see the glass-like bone that is underneath the prismatic scales of the snake's body. These scales themselves seem incredibly translucent. As you look at the bridge before you, you are unsure at first glance if it would support your weight or any weight, or if you would just pass right through.
You know, seeing as I was the guy that had the idea of falling into the hole, it might be best if I tried it first, just in case.
Well, I don't mean this in a mean way, Rock, but you are the most sturdy and strong looking of all of us, I guess. I think if it can hold your weight, it can hold any weight.
All right, well, I'll either see you guys the other side, or I won't see you at all. And he's gonna walk slowly over the bone bridge.
All right. You start walking, and your first step, your feet find purchase.
Dope. Okay. Gonna swing his other leg around to hit the next step.
Yep, and you walk, and the bridge seems to hold out underneath you.
Do I get to the other side?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look back and just kind of
It's a long way. As he looks back, like, they look small in the distance.
How long did it feel like I was walking for?
Not long.
I'm gonna look back and just kind of cuff his hands around his mouth and yell, "I did it! Who wants to try next?"
There's a job for me to do on that side, and I plan to do it.
Before Jaeger gets to take a step, Sam kind of puts his hand on, like, kind of gently, not to stop him, but more of just like a quick pause on Jaeger's shoulder. And Sam looks up into, kind of, again, looking up into Jaeger's eyes. Hey, I'm sorry for what I said back at the tower. I had a lot going through my mind, and just don't die. I mean, like really die. I kind of like seeing you back. And it's nice to know you have mine.
Jaeger sort of looks down at Sam and his eyes soften and he sort of nods for a split second. I don't know how. I really don't.
Well, don't make this the first.
Jaeger turns and starts walking across the snake.
You see Jaeger turn and take a step and fall right through the serpent.
Is he close enough to catch?
If you're going to try and catch him.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
The 19.
You, with blinding speed, go to catch Jaeger and at first smack into the serpent's scales as you're like trying to catch Jaeger and just kind of smack, and then kind of taking that momentum, you roll to the side and we see Jaeger like turning around, reaching up as Sam mid-roll whips his arm out and their forearms and hands meet and clasp each other in midair, barely saving Jaeger from falling into the fog. And you, Sam, are slipping.
Reagan?
I'm gonna run to help.
Sam?
All right. What are you gonna do, Reagan?
I'm gonna grab Sam's shoulder and Jaeger's arm as well and start to pull.
All right, roll a strength check.
18.
I was great.
Oh, very well done with the rolls, guys. With Reagan's help, Sam, you are able to start quickly pulling Jaeger up, and Jaeger, you're all but terrified because that was harrowing to say the least. Yeah. And as they pull you back up and you scramble your feet, kicking some of the rocks off of the stone wall as you are finally lifted up back onto solid ground. And in a moment, the serpent's body sinks beneath the fog again, and you hear a low chuckle.
Sam hugs Jaeger. What did I just tell you?
I don't know what this means.
I don't know. I just believe in yourself more. That sounds stupid.
I do. That's the problem. I don't know why it wouldn't have worked. Unless an objective doesn't work for this. It has to be something personal. That's what I think. It's what my heart tells me, and maybe it's not enough.
Well, from my bruised face, I can tell you that at least I can walk across, or I think I can.
Well, the bridge is now gone.
Oh.
Hey, Rock.
I was gonna ask, does Rock see all of this? Just in tiny ant form?
They're not that small.
Okay.
However, as you gaze across the chasm, you are woefully unaware of your surroundings. And as you start to become more aware, you look around and you see dark shadows that seem to be moving all around you. In fact, the trees themselves seem to have taken on a deep grayish-blue hue, and their leaves are black with white spots on the underside of them that reflect light as the light shines on the backside of the leaves, which makes the small white dots glow like stars, and you are underneath a canopy of star-like trees and space-like trunks.
Well, this is... He's gonna say this out loud because he's just alone and used to talking with people, so he's just gonna talk to himself. No, this is beautiful, but like, kind of spooky.
You hear your voice echoing through the woods.
I'm gonna turn around. I can still see my party, right?
Yeah.
Just once again putting his hands around his mouth. Is there anything you guys can do?
As you're yelling that, you see them helping Jaeger back up on to solid ground, and it doesn't look like they hear you at all.
Guys?
And your friends don't seem to respond.
Rock's just gonna stare forward and slightly turn his head to the right to look over his shoulder and like a very slow to look behind him.
As you look behind you, you see what looks like movement quickly ducking behind one of the trees. Like you almost saw somebody, but you didn't quite, and you just kind of saw the remnants of their movement as they hid.
Immediate. And reaches behind his shoulder, puts his two-handed blade in his hand, just standing there, and he goes, "Friendly?"
You hear a angelic-like giggling echo in the distance throughout the woods, and hundreds of small little voices going, "Friendly, friendly, 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 friendly."
Rock looks back to the hole And is like, looks at the hole, looks in front of him, starting to debate which is the best answer, jumping into the hole or going forward.
And as Rock debates his choices, all of you are now standing on solid ground again.
I don't know what to do.
That would appear. So, you hear echoing from the fog in the chasm.
Well, what's your call, Reagan?
Perhaps if you are unsure of yourselves, you can prove to me in another way that you are worthy to cross.
And how's that?
We'll play a game. I will ask you a question, and you will answer correctly. And then you will ask me a question that I will have to answer correctly. When one of us fails, the winner will have safe passage. And if you lose, you will not have safe passage. My first question: what flows like a river, but is constantly running out?
Time.
It nods its head as it erupts again from the fog, and the light that is its eyes seems to shine in an impressed way.
Sam kind of shudders, feeling the pocket watch in his bag.
It's your turn.
What? I think I remember this correctly. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening?
Man.
Sam nods.
The serpent turns again and says, I'm going to look at Google. Because I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Everyone Google your own riddles, quickly.
Riddle me piss.
The great Lord Google. Oh my god.
I'm going to make some shit up and they're not going to be good riddles, but here we go. We're cutting this out because I don't want to wait for my fucking phone to load. What do the lowest have, but the highest do not? What is at the end of everything and the beginning? What can no god create?
Sam kind of turns and looks to the rest of the party.
Jaeger's sort of staring almost at the mist in the chasm and trying to find an answer in it. Just staring. Could you repeat the question one more time?
What do the lowest have, but the highest do not? What is at the beginning and end of all things? And what can no god create?
Reagan looks to both of his friends, says, nothing.
The serpent's eyes glow once more, and it seems playfully intrigued, and it says, it's your turn. Trent with Google out on his phone.
I have to!
Okay, to be fair, we didn't think you were going to be Riddler today. Alright? No one expected this.
I did, but I didn't think that I would have to give riddles back.
Also, as a side note, can this just be any question? I could say, what is the third name for the President of the United States?
Yeah.
He doesn't know that.
Does Sam know that, though? That's my question.
All right.
Oh, we haven't been in the United States yet.
What's at the...
Don't ClockTower agents have knowledge? Don't ClockTower agents know of the world for at least 2 years?
Yeah.
Just ask him a question about some bullshit in Durann.
He knows the stuff in Durann.
No,
Does he?
Ask him his...
No, I got something. I have a question for you. Where are we from?
Indeed, that is an interesting answer. Because, do I answer where you think you're from? Or do you expect me to say the ClockTower?
Jaeger's eyes widen in
Sam's eyes widen.
in almost fear and a weird mix of like,
Oh, did I not mention that I was a well of knowledge?
I underestimated your abilities.
It would appear that it is my turn.
Reagan's eyes narrow and he bows his head.
What never comes first, but is always faster than a minute?
Second.
The serpent looks a little bit annoyed. And says, it is your turn.
I have one. Where are there lakes with no water, mountains with no stone and cities with no buildings.
The serpent looks at you and says, on a map.
Reagan again bows his head.
Out of knowledge indeed.
The serpent says, my turn. Where did you all come from?
Any ideas? Because all I can think is we came here from the ClockTower.
The serpent looks at you and its eyes glow, and it asks a familiar question. It says,
Are you sure of that answer?
That's all I know.
if you believe that you are sure, then cross. And the serpent bows its head and brings forth the bridge again.
Jaeger looks at the other two and sort of nods and says, if we can't get past here, we can't do what we need to do in the first place. And attempts to step across.
You cross.
When he touches the ground on the other side, he drops to his knees.
Do the two of you step across?
Sam looks to Reagan. Well, he's about to say something and stops himself, pulls out the necklace, clutches it tightly in his hand and goes, I have to do this. Gently but herself, let me be brave. Let me be brave. And steps across.
Sam falls quickly.
Reagan rushes to try and grab him.
Roll a dex check. 10. Reagan, you run forward to try and grab Sam, and your hand just barely touches the back of his shirt as you can't quite grab onto it. And Sam falls into the fog, disappearing.
I'm gonna check my watch.
This far into the journey, you probably have about 3 days left. And again, you hear a low chuckle from beneath the fog. And then the serpent lifts its head again, and it looks at you, and it says, how unfortunate. However, the things the four of you have seen are impressive for how little time that you have had.
Indeed.
Tell me, Reagan, did you really want to save Sam?
Of course. But I know I'll see him again soon.
Yes, I'm sure you will. It is sad, though, that you won't have him for the rest of your journey, however long that is. But he knew such wonderful things, and though he doesn't seem to believe in your mission, he seemed to believe in you. You may cross. And the serpent again plunges its head into the fog, and you see the bridge stretch out before you.
Reagan looks down. He places his hand on the serpent as if to say thank you and walks across.
You do. As you do walk across, you notice something that nobody else did, especially since you put your hand down on the serpent to look at it. The first thing you notice is Sam's necklace seems to be tied around one of the many rib bones of the snake. But then you notice hundreds of other trinkets are collected in the rib bones of that snake. And as you finally get across and the snake disappears into the fog, you find yourself on the other side with Rock and Jaeger, who both now stand in the Forest of Twilight. What do you guys do?
So, question for Rock.
Yeah.
What was I doing that whole time?
You were backing up closer and closer to the chasm, trying to stay away from whatever voices were off in the forest, but it didn't seem like a long time at all before Jaeger stepped up across, and for what must have been 3-4 minutes for them was a couple seconds for you.
Well, then I look behind me to see Jaeger and Reagan. I go, what happened to Sam?
What do you mean?
Where's Sam?
I try to look back.
As you try and look back, you look at the fog, and more than that, it's almost like you start to feel a fog setting over your own mind as the name Sam starts to ring hollow for all of you. because you don't remember who that is.
I'd like to fight it.
Roll a wisdom save.
I would also like to fight it if I can.
Roll a wisdom save.
I think all of us would like
I
to
would
fight it if we
also
can.
like to fight
roll
that.
them wisdom saves.
+1. Oh, rock forget.
What'd you get, boy?
Rock got an 8.
Yep.
10.
I double rock 16.
Jaeger, remember.
Jaeger, you fight that feeling. Much like the Gray City, you do not like anything being taken from you that you believe is yours. And you fight it. Quickly, you feel and see the realization on Reagan and Rock's face that they have no memory and are honestly a bit confused as to what the topic of conversation just was.
Sam?
Who?
Sam!
Who are you yelling about?
Sam! He's gone.
What? What are you...
You don't remember? You don't remember him? At all?
Remember who? Doug, we're here on the mission. It's just the 3 of us.
Come on, Jaeger. We have to get going.
I thought this place was good.
This place is... Okay, well, let's keep moving then. There's a lot of weird, spooky voices out here, so I would be careful.
And you see the path ahead of you, shaded in shadow. Do all of you head down it?
Rock does.
Jaeger waits, staring across the chasm, and then into it.
Reagan checks the map and heads on.
On the map, it says that no one has ever made it out of the Forest of Twilight before, but the Cave of Stars should be just beyond it.
Jaeger looks behind them, and then turns and follows the others.
And you all set down on the path into the shadowed woods. Yes. Yep. You all step forward, and it's like the darkness of the Twilight Forest is all-encompassing for a moment. And in that darkness, it feels almost as if you've lost sight of the path, and more than that, you've lost sight of the ground itself, almost as if you're floating. And you see the starlight surrounding all of you, and before you know it, with a familiar feeling, you're sitting on the couch in the clock tower.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
When I get on the couch,
Uh-huh.
am I startled to see Sam? As soon as I get there, do I automatically remember?
You would think that. But the weird thing is the only person who notices that Sam's not there is Jaeger. Hey, Ellie again. We here at the Clock Tower know that the world's a little bit scary always right now, but we hope you're having an extra special spooky time. You know, with the big spooky day tomorrow. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for listening. As always, I'd like to thank our producer, Who's, at who's.music, and I would also like to thank our sponsor, Alva Lupine Images, for donating the equipment to help us make more content with better quality. Thank you to Darbii, Cal, Parker, and Trent for their great performances. Thanks again for listening. If you want to know anything else about the Clock Tower, like where to contact us, other episodes and projects, or maybe you just want to download the Clock Tower class to use in your own games, all of that information and more can be found on our website, clocktoweragent.com. Again, that website is clocktoweragent.com. We release bi-weekly, so episode 11 will be out on all platforms and on our website on Friday, November 13th. Until then, time's ticking. See you in the Clock Tower.